everybody.
Sean and Kelly here, Price and Price Group, eXp Realty, and what are we talking about today?
What to expect financially when buying your house.
Okay, so you're getting ready to buy a house, you're
Right.
putting together all your finances,
Yep.
and you're thinking, I gotta save 20% for the down payment, or 10%, or 5%, or whatever it is, and you're thinking, that's all it's gonna cost me. Well, that's not the truth. We're gonna dive into
Maybe more, maybe less.
Maybe more, maybe less. That's right. You know, VA could be a lot less. You never know.
Also, conventional mortgages that offer only 3% down.
That's true. Okay.
FHA also is 3% down.
That's right. All these good
So many
things.
options for you to talk to with your lender.
Okay, so we're going to dive into, besides the down payment, what you need to expect financially in the transaction,
Yes.
what's going to be involved in escrow, so on and so forth.
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing we need to dive into is the purchase price.
Right.
Okay,
I mean, that's a big deal. That has a huge impact on what your cash to close and down payment and everything's going to be.
Yes,
That's
it does.
ginormous. It's
Yep.
kind of what the whole thing circles around, right?
so when you go to settlement, you're going to bring the purchase price to settlement, and how you do that will be a loan or cash or however you end up doing it. So, all right, so cash to close. Cash to close is the dollar amount that's due at settlement when you go
Right.
to the settlement table to sign. So what are you going to need to bring with you to the settlement payment or
Table.
settlement table?
Table?
Table.
The payment?
The payable payment.
Okay, you're going to bring your down payment,
Yes.
and this is whatever your loan program is, right? 3 to 20% VA. It's going to be 0%, but you're going to have more. So
Yep.
let's do it.
And keep in mind that a lot of buyers do ask this question: when do I have to have that down payment? And
Yeah.
it's at settlement. That's when you
Yes.
bring that there. Okay, closing costs. So this is what a lot of buyers don't think about.
Right.
And these closing costs that we're discussing here are for the state of Virginia. If you're buying in Maryland or DC, they can be significantly higher because the taxes are higher in those
Yeah.
areas.
And it makes sense that it adds a lot of confusion, right? Because it's not a finite number. It
Yeah.
changes by state, county.
Mhm.
It's like this to that percent. So it's
Yeah.
usually the numbers like that, a lot of people just tend to like let float off into the back crevices of their minds.
That's right. So closing costs, an estimate that we give to our buyers in Virginia, we like them to be prepared with 3% for closing costs.
Yeah.
That's usually overkill. It's usually closer to 2, but it's better to be more prepared than less prepared, depending on what's going to be required.
That's right.
So closing costs consist of
So many things.
so many things. Things like paying for your HOA docs that were previously ordered,
Right.
prorations for your condo fees or your HOA fees.
Yes, sometimes any inspections that were done for the property
Yes.
that were sent to be paid at settlement.
Yeah.
Usually this is more like pest control. Typically home inspections would be paid for at the time of.
Yeah.
What else?
Lender fees.
Yes.
Proration of property taxes.
Title fees.
Title fees. Title
Recording of
insurance.
deeds.
Recording of deeds. Transfer taxes. WMATA taxes.
What?
Yes.
Wamata.
WMATA.
Mata?
So these are all the fees that are required for the transaction to occur, and all the prorations that come in.
And that is independent of what title company you use. We're talking about like the
Transfer
transfer
taxes, yeah.
taxes and all this, and
Yeah.
recording fees and WMATA and all that. That's independent of your lender, realtor, title company.
Mm-hmm.
This is all based on the property and the jurisdiction in which it lives.
Yep, and closing date, because that can get
Settlement date.
yeah.
True.
Okay, so and these closing costs, this 2 to 3% of closing costs are on top of your down payment. So you need to make sure that those funds are allotted, and these closing costs are due on the day of settlement.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Next, some agencies, some brokerages have brokerage fees, administration fees, and that comes out of pocket for the buyer. For example,
Yeah.
our brokerage charges $425. We've seen them as high as $795.
Yeah.
So
Ours
we
is
just-
actually going up to $495.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Okay.
this year, and ours is still one of the lowest.
It is,
yeah, it's usually in the 5s. So,
yep.
whoop whoop, EXP.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
right, baby. Okay, so you need to be prepared for that. And then outside of settlement, so those are all the things that are going to be due at the settlement table. So outside of settlement, in other words, before we get to settlement, which is usually about day 30 of the transaction, the first thing you're going to have to do is the earnest money deposit.
Yeah, and that's going to be sent based on what we put in your offer, which turned into your contract, right? Usually 3 to 5 days So those are funds that you need to make sure you have accessible right then as soon as you're submitting the offer, because once it's accepted, you only have that many days to get it in. And
Yep.
usually it's wired, which is a great time to mention that your realtors, nor your title company or lender, they're not really going to ask you to wire funds through email or anything like that. It's going to be a phone call. You reach out, get in
Yep.
touch, ask for their wiring instructions. So
Yep.
be careful. Wire fraud is
Wire fraud is huge.
a big bad,
Yes. Big baddie.
big baddie, bad guy.
So in the current market at the time of shooting this video,
Mm-hmm.
earnest money is usually 3 to 5%. The more competitive the property is, the higher you need to make your earnest
Yeah.
money, because that's the money that is your good faith deposit to the sellers to give them the confidence that you are serious about buying the house, because that's what
Yeah.
you are basically risking from your contingencies.
Yeah, and this is even if say you're a VA buyer and you're not going to have any money down, you still want as big an earnest money deposit as you can afford.
Yep.
Because it does speak to the seriousness of your offer,
Yep.
right? Why is that? It's because if you defaulted in any way on that contract, the seller gets to keep that money.
Yeah.
So you have to know you're serious. It shows them you're serious, and then you're probably about to get to this. So I wonder if I'm skipping ahead. But whatever earnest money deposit you pay, that's going to be subtracted from the cash to close you're going to
Yep.
have to bring to the table. So let's say you needed to bring $50,000 cash to close, and you put $25,000 earnest money deposit. These are wackadoodle numbers. Then you would only be bringing $25,000 cash to close, which is
Yep.
the balance
Yep.
of those two.
And if you're a VA buyer and you don't have closing costs that equal that, then you'll get a check back.
That's true.
Yep, that'd be nice. Buy a house and get money back. It's kind
Ooh,
of money back. Home inspection. So home inspection is due at the time of service. It can range depending on the size of your property, anywhere from $350 up to, we've seen them as high as $1,500 depending on the size of the property.
Yeah.
On average, $350 to $750. And you're going to pay for that at the time of service.
Yeah.
So you need to be prepared for that. And one of the things to keep in mind with that is if you're doing pre-offer inspections, so on, you might want to have a little bit more liquidity so that,
Yeah.
in case you miss out on a couple properties, you can afford a couple of inspections.
Yeah, and you're like, why would I do that? Well, if you've been in this market as a home buyer, you know why you would do that. If you haven't yet, you're gonna learn. It's because it's a really competitive market out there,
Yep.
and sellers are not really wanting to accept offers with home inspection contingencies. So it's best if you really want to have one, which is a great idea, do it before you submit the offer.
Yep.
Right, and then
Yep.
that's what a lot of other buyers are doing. So
Mhm.
you might still lose, and then need to do it again on the next one.
That's
So
right.
why.
And the whole purpose of that is so you know what you're buying and you decide, do I still want to write the offer or not? If you do
Right.
want to write it, you write it without the or contingency, because you've
Yeah.
already seen the inspection.
That's right.
Yep. Okay. Wood destroying insect inspection, anywhere from $40 to $70. This is usually right around $45, $50.
Yeah, it's-
But yeah, you need to be prepared for that. This can be paid at time of service, or a lot of companies accept it at settlement. So this could be either or.
Yeah, that's like the cost of a family of 4 at Taco Bell. Do you realize,
Hey,
like, we
that's
used to get like
crazy.
10-cent Mix-A-Melts
Yeah,
at
we
Taco
used to
Bell
go
all
there
the
for
time.
$10 with all 6 of us.
And now, just like
Ridiculous.
$46.
And they got rid of the Mexi-Melt.
And the Pico de Gallo.
Yeah.
Like, what am I even paying for Taco
They
Bell?
get rid of the Burrito Supreme, we're out.
I'm already about out. They're making me mad.
All right, we're destroying insect inspection. Appraisal. So the appraisal, this is different than an inspection. A lot of people
Yeah.
get inspector and appraiser confused. An appraisal is the independent party that goes into the property and determines the house value.
Smell good.
Determines the value of the house, so the lender is confident that they're lending on a property that is worth what they're lending the money on.
That's
so,
right.
Your lender will charge you for this appraisal.
And they're going to send you the link as soon as you're under contract, right?
Yep.
And the reason, and you need to pay it immediately, because an appraiser is not going to accept I smell good too. Sorry, I'm such a weirdo. Get it out of my system.
Okay.
An appraiser is not going to accept the job to come out and do your appraisal until payment has been received,
Yep.
right? To have a competitive offer, you want your appraisal and finance contingency window to be as small as possible, so that they need to get the appraisal done really, really quickly, which means the appraiser has to accept the job really, really quickly,
Yep.
which means you have to pay for the appraisal really, really quickly, which means your lender has to be the type that orders it really, really quick. That's right. That's right, boys and girls. Even Why are you changing my slide?
Sorry.
Even on nights and weekends, right?
Yes.
They can tappity tap the old thing in the computer, the old order, and they need to do that. If you have a lender who doesn't work nights and weekends,
Okay.
call Tatiana.
Can you say
Sorry,
tangent?
tangent.
Yes. Okay.
I need to have like a jingle for Kelly's tangent time.
Kelly tangent time. Our
Kelly
whole new
tangent
thumbnail.
time. If you see this, it means just fast forward through it. Because it's Kelly tangent time. Kelly tangent time.
In an email voice. Kelly tangent time. I can't even say it.
That
Okay.
sounded like Mr. Hanky.
That's right. Oh no, it's Kelly tangent time. Okay, anyway.
Oh, man.
So cash to close, due at settlement. That's when you're going to settlement. Before you get to the settlement process, just be prepared for your earnest money deposit, your inspection fees, wood destroying insect inspection, and your appraisal.
Yeah, and a note on all of this money: have your money ready
Yes.
for the outside settlement stuff there at the bottom. Have it immediately ready because it's going to be a really fast process from the time your offer's accepted to settlement date.
Yep.
And then for the final, the cash to close due at settlement, have that ready. If it's in
Money market funds or investments.
sometimes we've seen it happen again and again and again. It takes a lot longer to get those funds to an actual bank, wireable, transferable than people think. And if you're having to delay settlement or something, that could, if the seller doesn't agree, that's you not making good on your contract, and they can say, we're either going to settle or I get to walk with your funds, your EMD funds, and I got a better offer waiting in the wings anyway. So just have your cash ready. Talk to your lender about that. They'll make sure that you know.
That's right. Okay. So that is what it takes to buy a house.